In today's video, let's talk a little bit about the pre-shot routine. Now, this is something that all good players have and frequently lesser players don't have. It's very important to have it. So what is the purpose of a pre-shot routine? Is that you are trying to control the variables, the things that are within your control. So very much the things that you do before your golf shot are very process oriented, and you can go through a list of things to control those aspects. So they're within your control, you can make sure that you carry those out. If you think of then playing the shot and the result of the shot, to a large degree that is beyond your control, although in reality it's obviously part of your shot pattern and you train, you practice towards this shot pattern on a daily basis. But the actual outcome of the shot, we are not snipers, we have a shotgun with pellets going somewhat all over the place. It's to a large extent outside of our control. And when golfers talk about being involved in the process and not outcome oriented, that very much is what this is. You have to be focused on the elements you can control. Same thing with a post shot. Once you finish the shot, again, you can make yourself in charge of those elements, how you respond to what's occurred beforehand. So think of it as a 40-second window, a 40-second sanctuary in which you are absolutely absorbed in the present moment and you are focused and concentrated on the task at hand. And it's very important because if you think of the length of a round of golf can be 4 or 5 hours plus. It's impossible to remain focused for all of that time. So you need to try and create this little 40-second sanctuary in which you are in charge, you are in control, and the rest of the time you can do other things. You can chat to your playing partners, you can chat to your caddy, you can do whatever it is you feel you need. But in this time, this 40-second window, which involves hitting the shot and preparing for it, then you have to be doing your utmost to get the results you want. Let's build a pre-shot routine together and go through some of the different elements that it needs. The first thing that we require is some kind of trigger to mark the moment that we start our routine, right? Because like I said, a round of golf takes a long time. We need something to make ourselves start our 40-second bubble. And it can be different for all different golfers. None of these things I'm going to mention are set in stone. It's just to give you some framework, some guideline for how to construct your own routine. So if you're about to start your routine, it needs a trigger. A simple trigger could be the fact that you put your hand in your pocket and start to then take it back out. It could be simply that you take your club and you pull it out of your bag. We often have strong associations with colors. It could be that you picture a red balloon and the red balloon is flying towards you, or something to that effect. You need something to mark the start so you can be focused and absolutely absorbed in the present right this moment in time. And this is frequently what people think leads to a lack of concentration, lack of focus, is then when your mind starts to wander and you're no longer thinking actively about the task at hand. So first thing, a trigger, and you're then in it, you're involved. The next step your routine requires is for you to create an image of the task at hand. And what's the best way to do this? It's simply to ask a question. So if I see my hole over there, away in the distance, I'm going to look back and I'm going to say, what does a good shot look like here? And in asking myself that question, my mind is going to create that image and it's going to give me the best chance to start to feel how to execute in order to create that motion. And again, it's keeping me very much absorbed in the present moment because I'm delving only with what's at hand. What does a good shot look like? I'm not asking myself, what would happen if I start to carve it off to the right into those trees? What happens if I overhook it into that lake down the left? No, I'm asking myself a question which links me to the task, which enables me to visualize the task. What does a good shot look like? And I'm ready. I've seen that mental image. My mind has created it so that my body can then create the shot to play that specific requirement I have for this particular task. So number 2, you have to create an image, and you do that by asking good questions. It keeps you absorbed in the present. The third element I need in a routine is to make a practice swing. And again, everyone's different. It doesn't matter how many you make. It simply matters to me that you do make one where you replicate what you're going to try and do moments later. And very often I'll see golfers, they'll do a practice swing and they'll be up here. And I'm like, that's loosening up. That's not making a practice swing. So I'd make the analogy, if you link this to, for example, a theatre troupe on the day before the big night, before the big opening, they are going to do a dress rehearsal. And when they do their dress rehearsal, they are going to put all their costumes on. They're going to get all the lights exactly the way they want them. They're going to have all the timing set exactly as desired. And they're going to go through with the whole entire thing as they had it planned out, so that they are doing a full rehearsal. And it needs to be the same thing here in our golf swings. So if I'm hitting an iron off the deck, for example, if I'm in position and I just swing like this, and it's just a loosener, what I'm trying to do is I've asked myself that good question in the step ahead, what does a good shot look like? And then I'm trying to execute that shot. So my practice swing is going to be much more determined, much more closely linked to the reality of what I'm going to do in a few moments' time. So that's my practice. It was my real swing. I've hit the ground as though there was a ball there. It is mimicking what I'm going to try and achieve in a few moments' time. So make sure you have a practice swing, but make sure it's real. Make sure it's mimicking what you're going to try and do. The next stage I like to see in a pre-shot routine is for you to focus, concentrate on your breathing. So I want you to dampen your arousal system. I want you to reduce anxiety by focusing on your breathing, the inwards, the outwards, the inhaling, the exhaling. And this is a tool, a trick that's used in cultures all over the world. And I think it's easily ignored because of its inherent simplicity. But I think a really good way of incorporating this into your routine is if you're standing behind the golf ball, I'm going to hit the shot towards you guys, towards the camera. I focus on my breathing. And you can see as I'm exhaling, my shoulders are lowering, I'm dampening my arousal system, I'm good to go. I'm losing those feelings of stress and anxiety and of performance-related issues. I'm good to go. So number 4, very important, try and concentrate on your breathing, the in, the out, and how it affects your shoulders, how your whole frame relaxes. The next item you need in your routine is something to keep you focused on the task, something to think about while you're there about to pull the trigger and swinging. It's very easy to think to yourself, I don't want to think of anything. I want my mind to be totally empty of thoughts. I can assure you that is an impossible task. We are clever beings and we are constantly thinking of something. You could be up the top of a mountain, Nepalese mountain, with your legs crossed. You are still thinking of something. It's impossible to empty your mind. And you shouldn't want to empty your mind in this instance because you are trying to do something with purpose. You're trying to be absorbed in the present. And if you weren't thinking of anything, you might well be in the present, but you would be detached from the present. And we want to be very much involved and part of what's going on. So to keep your focus, you have to have a one point, something you're thinking about. I like it personally to be something involved in the swing. So for example, it could be for me, I'm going to make sure as I make my swing, I'm going to finish my belt buckle forwards. So that is going to be my one point, my thing I'm going to focus on. I've gone through the other 4 stages. Stage 5, I'm thinking of my belt buckle moving forwards. That's number 5. Make sure you have one point, something to keep you absorbed in the present and not detached in the present. Lastly, and just like we started with a trigger, we need to end with a trigger, something that marks the end of our shot, the end of our routine. And what can often happen is you'll hit your shot and in actual fact, it won't do what we desired. Remember, we've got a shotgun, we're not snipers, it won't do what we've desired. And sometimes we can get a little bit emotional, a little bit angry at what's happened. To my mind, that doesn't matter, that's okay. Those emotions, those feelings are all part and parcel of being human beings, and there's nothing we need to do about them other than we need to be able to mark a spot where that tension, that anger disappears so that we can carry on and then be once more absorbed in the present when it comes to hitting the next shot. So, to my mind, a good trigger is simply, or an end point, is that you are not going to put your golf club back in your bag until you are completely satisfied that you have ended the prior shot and ready to move on. I think that is a good marking spot. And likewise, you could do it in different ways. You could do it by putting your hand back in your pocket and jingling some tees. You can do it when you take the strap off of your golf glove. There are lots of different ways you can do this, but it's important to have a spot that marks the end of it. At the start, I said I like the image of picturing a red balloon coming towards you. To my mind, what you can do here is pop the balloon. So if I'm finishing my routine, I have this balloon, this red balloon in my mind, and I'm seeing it go pop once I'm finally done with the shot, ready to carry on. Now that we've seen the 6 points I like to see incorporated into a routine, let's actually put it into practice. So my initial thing is going to be a trigger to start the shot, and I'm picturing a red balloon coming towards me. I'm ready, it's my turn. 2, I'm going to start to visualize by asking myself a good question. So what does a good shot look like? And I'm picturing a high draw starting to the right, curving back to the left. Number 3, I'm going to do my dress rehearsal, making sure I try and create the body moves that are going to lead to that shot. 4, I like to stand back behind, and I'm going to focus on my breathing, inhaling, exhaling. You should be seeing my shoulders dropping. From there, I focus on my 1 point. To me, it's my finish. I want to belt buckle forwards. And when I'm ready, I'm visualizing that same red balloon and it's popping and I'm done. I can walk on, carry on until it's time to refocus on the next shot.